the Profile Unity RTA from Wotofo. Let's have a look. Hey guys, Vick here, back with another review. Today we are looking at this. This is the Profile Unity RTA from Mr. Just Right 1, TVC, the Vapor Chronicles, and Wotofo. It's a three-way collaboration between those guys. It is the follow-up to the Profile RDA, a mesh-based RDA. It was very, very popular, did very, very well. This is the RTA version of that. So what is it? What's it got going on? So we've got a 25mm tank, 3.5mm capacity. It's upgradable with what comes in the box to 5mm capacity. There's a bigger glass and an extension chimney piece, taking it up to 5mm if you want. Goon tips on top, and it has that classic profile mesh deck as well. Very, very similar to the RDA. Obviously, the big thing with this one over the RDA is wicking. So what I'm going to do is a full build down low from start to finish, from taking it out of the box from scratch, completely building it up is what I'm going to do. Let's go down low and do that. See you in a sec. Okay guys, here we are down low with the Profile Unity RTA from Wotofo. This is the packaging, all that good stuff, all that and all that. 6 different colours available, 25mm wide, millimeters wide. It comes with 2 things, so it's 3.5mm capacity as standard, and it is 5mm capacity when you put this additional tank on. There's a little chimney extender in the kit to enable you to do that. So let's just pop that out. Let me get the tank out. We'll come back to the tank, and right, here we go. Boom, in we go to this little puppy. So that's your little extender, that weird looking thing there. That's for capacity. You've got some spare springs for the bouncy deck as well, and O-rings and stuff. You get some tools. Now these are good, you need these. This one here is what you bend the mesh over. That is what that one is for, and I will be doing that shortly. And a screwdriver ovs, which will come in handy too. You also get this packet here. Opening this up, this is where your crazy cotton comes. You get 2 of those, absolutely massive. We'll be playing with those in a bit as well. You get a manual. Worth a little look, that manual. Sometimes it's no point, but it is a unique one. You also get this, so cats out of the bag. OFRF are, I think they're owned by Wotofo, so they've collaborated here and included some of their fancy mesh, and 60 to 75 watts is recommended with this mesh. So I don't know why everyone's vaping at insane wattages in their videos for this tank, but yeah, they sort of recommend around 70 watts with this mesh, and we're going to use some of it on a build in a sec, so I'll try and get some out. Right, so we got the mesh that we need, we got the cotton that we need, we got the tools and all that. Let's have a look at the tank. Goon fitting drip tips on top. Very nice drip tip. You only get 1 on this one, but it is very nice indeed, and other goon tips do fit. I have tested that. This is the top fill. This is the top fill. No issues there. It's kind of like one of these half-turn top fill jobs. No issue there. Nice and easy to top fill. What I tend to do is leave it off while I'm doing the build. So there we go. You've got your adjustable airflow here. So you've got 5 holes on this side and 5 holes on this side, which is plenty. Plenty. Profile Unity written on there. Underneath, let's have a good look at this. You've got TVC, you've got Mr. Just Right 1, Wotofo, all that good stuff. There you go. All that good stuff on the underneath, and a nice protruding pin if you're desperate to use it on a mechanical device. If you are, be careful. But yeah, it is protruding enough pin, that is for sure. There we go. So opening her up and we get into the deck, and you will very quickly notice that it's pretty much the same as the deck as the RDA was, really. In focus here. There we go. Right, so it's pretty much the same deck as it was in the old profile RDA, really. You stick in a bit of mesh in here, looping it around into there, cotton down here, and then wicking. And a lot's been talked about with the wicking on this one, so this is why I'm doing the whole build on camera. I don't love building with mesh. I don't love wicking mesh. I find it all a bit tricky, but I'm going to do it on camera and show you guys. So let's do it. First job, as we've talked about, is bending the mesh, and that is where this tool comes in. So you're literally sticking it on here and wrapping it around here like this, and that creates the perfect amount of bendiness, and it does stay in shape really nice, this mesh. So you end up with just a little loop of mesh like that. We're not pulling up trees yet, that's true. Nothing groundbreaking yet, but that is how you bend the mesh, and that's what that tool is for. Unscrewing these posts. They're kind of like not springy, the actual posts. You kind of just have to sort of trick them open. And then you're just placing it in here. Sorry if this is hard to see on camera, but you're literally just placing it on here and screwing it up. Sorry, my thumb's over the top of it, but that's how you do it, unfortunately. So you're just tightening it up like that, both sides. Make sure you got it all nicely in place and you're happy with it, and then like that. If you didn't see the profile RDA, one feature of this deck is very clever, is you've got a spring here, springy thing. The idea of that is it keeps the cotton pushed nicely up against the top here. You get a very, very harsh vape if your cotton's not pushing up against your mesh, because the mesh gets very hot because it's not in contact with the cotton. So that's why it has that little spring. Still think it could be firmer, that spring, but it's very clever and does a job. So that's the easy bit. I'm just going to go check resistance. Okay, so I'm just putting it on the device to check the resistance. It's coming out exactly what it should, 0.13, which is exactly what it said on the packet. Very consistent, this mesh. And another thing here, guys, as well. Now, I am not going to dry fire this. I'm not going to warm it up. I've used a lot of this mesh on various things recently, messing around. It always heats up evenly, never gets hot in a certain point. So I'm not even going to dry fire it. I'm just going to let it be, because there's no hot spots to get out. It just always is bang on. It really is. So so on this occasion, I ain't doing that. I'm just going to put the cotton straight in without scalding or, you know, charring up the mesh. I'm just going to get on with it. Right, so next thing is you get this absolutely massive piece of cotton. The truth is, it doesn't need anywhere near as much as this. It needs more than your typical coil, granted, but it doesn't need half of this really. So I'm going to halve it straight off the bat, but the rest of it can go. And then even now I'm still going to be trimming it down. You just simply do not need this much. It's not a problem, but this is how I've been building this. Got into a bit of a habit with it. I know I've shown it straight out of the packet and all that, but I've been using the black one for a few days now. So there we go, we're brushing that out. It's also way too long. Yeah, you do need a good clump of cotton, don't get me wrong, but nowhere near as much as what we started with. So in a way, it's not super convenient the way they've done it. But so we're going to start off with something like that, and we're still, as you're going to see, going to be trimming down like crazy. Sorry if you can hear the wind outside, it's still absolutely crazy. Right, and I want it like that. Don't forget, with this much cotton in play, it really fluffs out, so you do need a little bit of room in there for when it thickens up. Right. Okay, back on track. Yes, it takes a little bit of faffing and fluffing to get how you want it. I'm also going to juice it in a second as well. And then length is a bit of a thing here, so really you want it to the length of the tank. Right, so I'm going to juice it up a bit to make it easier to work with and thicken it up a bit, make sure we've got it right. It's just one of those RTAs you can't rush really. It's super easy to put the mesh in, but then the cotton takes a bit of playing really. Right, so now it's a question of length more than anything. Got to get this length right because it's getting stuffed into this hole. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit off each end and then I'm going to stuff it in. And then we're going to get it in this hole and then I'm going to tidy up. What a mess. Like a lot of these RTAs, the trick with the wicking is partly not getting too much in this bit down here. That's almost slightly too much in there. And then in here. There we go. This will wick absolutely perfectly. Let me just dry up and focus up. Right, try and give you a nice close look at this. There we go. That is what it looks like. If I was being critical, I'd say slightly too much in there. But overall, pretty good. And that is how you do it really. I've seen a lot of things about sideways cutting and all that, and that's true, it's true, but if you get the actual length and thickness right in the first place, it folds over really nice anyway. So that is how I've been doing it, and hasn't been too bad on the old wicking. So let's put it back together. Put it back together like that, and then we'll fill her up. There we go, that'll do for now. Plenty in there for now. And we'll put the top fill straight back on. It's one of these tanks where it's a good idea to give it a vape pretty quick after filling it up, just to get that vacuum. I know it's not a vacuum, but just to get that vacuum back in and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so there it is, all built and wicked up. The Profile Unity RTA. Let's go up top, pros and cons on this. See you in a sec. Okay guys, that was the Profile Unity RTA down low. Really interesting RTA, very different to what we've seen before. Just like when they did the RDA, that was a big change up, that was a big new thing, and this is very much the same. Putting this kind of mesh in this RTA is very interesting indeed, and that's why I've gone right through the build section with you. Sorry if any bits were out of focus or a bit messy, still getting used to this new camera. So covering off a few bits, 6 colours available. I've got the black one that I've been using for quite a while now, and I've got the stainless steel one. There's 6 colours in total, 25mm wide. Comes with this OFRF NexMESH. So there's a collaboration there as well to get this fancy new mesh from OFRF in this tank, and that's what I put in here. Quickly on that, the mesh is very good. The mesh is very good at what it does. I would like to see them come out with a wattage range of them though. I would like to see some NexMESH that's 20 to 40 watts, 40 to 60 watts, and then 60 to 80 watts. I would love to see that range of mesh available, so someone like me can maybe enjoy a slightly lower wattage vape on here. I think that would be the next thing. You know, if we're going to make rebuildables, it'd be good to make a full range of this mesh available for all different wattages. I would like to see that next. Specifically, if we're going to be putting it in RTAs, that'd be a very, very good thing to do as well. So that's a thing. So it comes with that inside, and that's what we put in. And yeah, that's what's going on in there. So from the build, just quickly talking about the build, the important bits in that build really are use the tool to bend the mesh. That's what it's for. Makes it super easy. Don't try and bend it with your hands or anything like that. It's very, very easy to put that in. Just put your finger over the top and screw it in, and it's absolutely fine. I am personally finding I don't need to dry burn or heat up that mesh to check for hot spots. It seems to just be absolutely perfect every time. It just glows up straight away. There's never any issues at all. All you need to do is make sure you check your resistance before you wick it up and all that. Make sure it's all fine and dandy before you vape it. But I'm not dry burning this mesh, so that's just me personally. I've seen other people are, but I'm not. I'm finding no need to do that. So that is that. In terms of wicking, it comes with these huge cotton pads that you can put through. You actually get way more than you need, which is absolutely fine. Just trim it down like I did on the video. But yeah, you get way more than you need. You don't need anywhere near that much in there. If you overstuff this RTA, you will get dry hits. And mesh dry hits are the worst dry hits, trust me on that. So you don't want to be doing that. So don't overstuff it is the big thing. I've seen in the manual they talk about cutting diagonal across the wick so that it tapers down and bends down easier and you don't end up with too much inside. A perfectly legitimate and good strategy to do. I find if you just get the exact right amount, then it all goes in nicely as well. I haven't had any major wicking issues. The only thing I have noticed is the way I'm wicking it, the way I wicked on camera. When you first fill it up, you need to give it a vape quite quick just to seal up that vacuum and get it all nicely in place. If you don't, you are gonna get a bit of leakage, a bit of dribbling. That's mainly because I'm wicking the actual wick so heavily before I fill up the tank, so it's already completely full of juice anyway. So screw it all back together, fill it up, and then just have a couple of quick toots straight away, just so it's all in place, and you won't get much leakage like that. I found that's the best way for me. I don't mind a little bit coming out of the airflow when I first fill it up. Just wipe that off, put it together, or wick it the other way. Check out other videos and how everyone else is wicking it. But I have had no dry hits at all. None at all. 3 builds plus the one you saw on camera, and I've not had a single dry hit at all. And other than when I first fill it for the first time, I'm not having any leakage issues at all either. So for me, I know a lot's been made about how to wick it and all that sort of stuff. For me personally, I've not had any major problems with it at all. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. In terms of the vape and the way that it vapes, I am at 60 watts with the build you just saw down low, and it's going a bit like this. It's a completely different vape with mesh, you know. You get a really different vape. I don't love mesh in RDAs, but I've got to say it's very flavoursome. It is a very flavoursome vape. It's a very tasty RTA indeed. I am enjoying the flavour very much on this. Overall, you know, I'm enjoying the vape. It's a nice vape. But you do notice the difference with mesh. There's some very fundamental differences with vaping mesh. One is if you get that dry hit, you really know about it. The other is the ramp up. The ramp up on this NexMESH from OFRF is absolutely split second. It really is almost too fast. I'm almost tempted to put it on a mod that has the soft, medium and hard modes and put it on soft mode, because the ramp up is just so alien to me. It's so rapid. You just go. It just goes like absolute lightning, and it's a very unique thing at first, you know, when you're getting used to it. But the flavour is very good. You're getting, with all that cotton in there, you're getting a very saturated vape, and it is wicking very nicely. In terms of pros and cons and things like that, there's a few things that I'm going to point out about it. I would definitely say this isn't the ideal first RTA. I don't think this is the ideal first RTA. If you've not had an RTA before, I think there are much easier RTAs to get started on than this. I definitely recommend build in some traditional coil RTAs before you get to this, simply because the wicking is so fiddly and so faffy. Just getting it exactly how you want it and dialing this tank into how you want to vape it, I just don't think it's a perfect beginner RTA, and I don't think that's a major negative as such, but if you haven't had an RTA before, I don't think this is a perfect first one. In terms of looks, I've got one slight issue with the way it looks. I don't like this tapering in at the very bottom. At a glance, it always looks like it's overhanging. It's just me. Again, that's just me. It's a really weird visual thing. But when I just glance at it, it kind of just looks like it's overhanging because it's narrower at the very base. I always think that's a weird look. The other thing I want to point out is I have no idea, this was sent to me directly by Wotofo, I have no idea how they're going to do the TPD version of this or a 2mm version of this. I don't even know if they are going to do a TPD 2mm version of this. I haven't seen anything about that at all, and just looking at it, I'm not sure what the workaround would be to make it 2mm capacity, so I don't know what is happening with that, so I want to point that out as well. The main thing I would sort of say, my main sort of message across really is, if you love the profile RDA, and I know a lot of people do, I think you will absolutely love this tank. I think it's that mesh style vape, and they've done it really, really well. The wicking, they've done as best they could with that, in my opinion. I know it looked really fiddly and faffy down low, but that's partly because I'm on camera and I'm leaning over and all that sort of stuff. Once you know in your head and by eye how much cotton you need, I could have just done that all just here, 2 seconds. So it's yeah. So that's the thing with that. So if you love the profile RDA, I think you'll really like this RTA. If you're a fan of mesh vapes, you know, maybe mesh sub-tanks, and you're thinking about trying a rebuildable version, then again, that mesh style vape is what you've got in here, so I definitely think it'll be for you. The other people I think it will appeal to are your 50, 60, 70 watt RTA users. I think it's right up your street. It's a sort of cloudy, dense, flavoursome vape that you will be used to in your other RTAs that are of this vape style, so I definitely recommend it for those. The other type of person I wouldn't particularly recommend it for is your low wattage vapors. Unless they start moving this mesh on and producing more different styles of mesh that are more tailored towards the lower wattage, then I guess this isn't really the RTA for you. I know technically it's a single coil RTA, but it's not, is it? It's a single mesh RTA. So that's the thing. I haven't tried it with a traditional coil. I feel like if you really want to use a traditional coil, there are better tanks for that. But it does and can take a traditional coil. I did use a traditional coil on my profile RDA for quite some time, and it was absolutely fine. Not stellar, but fine. And you can put a normal coil in here. So if you run out of mesh or you get sick of mesh, then you can put a normal coil in here. So it's not a waste in that scenario. It's a very tasty vape, it's a very nice vape. I'm having no wicking issues. Our airflow's nice and smooth. Not too loud at all, very swooshy, very smooth. I like the airflow adjustment. Overall, I like the look of the tank. It's really well made from Wotofo, and it's very affordable. You know it always is going to be from those guys. Overall, I think it's a very solid tank. If you love the profile RDA, you will love this tank. Yeah, if you're a cloudy RTA person, definitely check it out as well. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.